All right, ready? F. Gary Gray, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and Ice Cube.
Yay, yay.
Thank you guys, first of all.
Thank you for having us.
You guys.
It's special for us to have you on stage here at the Film Society, so thank you for taking time.
Thanks everybody for coming out. You know, it's Tuesday night, you know, so I know, you know, if people got shit to do. So we really appreciate you guys coming out and you know, spending a few minutes with us. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a few questions, and shortly the audience is going to ask some questions, so get your questions ready. Well, we're going to talk about the movie, of course, but let me just set the stage. Let me start with Ice Cube. Tell us about the first time you met Eric. Tell us about the first time you met Eazy-E. Do you remember that experience of how you guys connected, why you connected?
Yeah, you know, it was real simple. Lonzo used to have this spot, you know, he's in the movie, where we would go hang out and do beats and hang out. And then one day, you know, this dude came over, dressed real fly for the time. You know, he was in his Fila BJ sweatsuit. You know, he had his nugget rings, and nuggets used to be the shit in the 80s. So he was just real cool. You know, I just knew this dude was just on a whole nother level, you know, financially for sure. You know, he was definitely above our pay grade. But he was real interested in what we were doing and was interested in trying to get involved. And, you know, he had bought so many records. You know, he's like, he used to just go buy, you know, 25, 30, you know, singles, albums, everything. You know, he just was into music. So he started coming around more and more and more and more. And, you know, pretty soon, you know, he was just part of the crew, kind of like, you know, pretty much in the background, hanging, you know. And then, you know, he jumped out one day and said, yo, you know, I guess him and Dre, you know, conjured up this idea of Ruthless Records. And it all started from there.
It's interesting in watching a movie like this because three of us are about the same age, almost exactly, and not you, sorry, O'Shea. But what I was going to say is that the movie takes me back to a specific moment. You capture it through not only, and I grew up in Southern California, not only in the way that it's shot, but the way that what we hear going on, the music, and the wonderful contrast between what we hear in Compton and then what we hear when we are on the school bus at high school, Tears for Fears. That's a striking contrast for anybody who grew up in Southern California at that time and who took the bus to high school as well, like me. I have to ask all of you guys, but I guess maybe starting with Ice Cube and F. Gary Gray, the idea of going back and telling this story, the idea of looking back on this time period gives you the opportunity to tell a story, tell this history, but also to kind of reconnect with it, grapple with it, come to terms with it, maybe? I don't know. I mean, how did you think about that?
I always looked at it as a teaching moment, you know, and we looked at this as a slice of American history, just like you would look at any period piece. You would try to, you know, pay attention to details and make sure people feel it. You know, the people who were there, of course, are going to be nostalgic about it, but the new fans, you know, they get a chance to feel exactly what we felt at that time. And we tried to recapture it on film, and, you know, Gary did a great job at paying attention to detail and making, you know, the hood look and feel like it felt in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, that's what it had to feel like. It couldn't feel like, 2016 or 2015. Definitely can't feel like 2016.
That's right.
We ain't there yet, but
Soon.
but so it had to feel right, and we did everything in our power to make sure it felt exactly like the times.
Tell us about creating the world, recreating the world, the detail, trying to find the authenticity of what it looked and felt like.
I mean, well, that was the key. It was just authenticity. I was a huge, still am an N.W.A. fan, huge Ice Cube fan. I grew up a few miles away from Cube. We're the same age. I grew up in South Central LA. And so that was just as much a part of my experience as it was his. What they wrote about, I either experienced or witnessed it as well. So in making the film, I was very close to it because it was kind of telling my story as well, indirectly. And like Cube said, it's a slice of American popular culture. And when you're a filmmaker, you're a world builder. I'm sure you guys all know this. And when I did the Italian Job, you kind of go into this world of fiction. You get to create whatever you want with these different movies. And with this one, I got a chance to kind of put on a different hat. So it's almost like kind of a historian and a journalist hat. And when you watch The Social Network, it's kind of what popular culture was in the 2000s, and American Graffiti, what American popular culture is in the 50s and 60s, and Saturday Night Fever. There's things like that. And so, looking at what was happening in the 80s, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just a rap movie. It was really, really important what they did, the courage that they had. And it's missed, some people miss what they did and really didn't understand the impact above and beyond kind of the entertainment. And it was really, really important, and it was important to kind of capture it that way.
It's also a terrific LA movie, I think, and not only in the way that it depicts LA, but also capturing the LA of that moment, like the Daryl Gates LA, that late 80s moment that's so relevant today. The movie is so resonant, sadly in certain ways, and still so relevant today. What we're looking at with the depiction of police brutality in particular. And you couldn't have imagined when you guys decided to make this movie that it would be so painfully relevant today.
No, not at all. I mean, I applaud Cube just, to have the courage as a teenager to step up and say what we were feeling. A lot of us as, just black people in general, but especially young black men, have stories, experiences with law enforcement, and for him to kind of stand up in the face of opposition with all the controversy to say what he said, and he got a lot of flack from it. And it is unfortunate that we're watching this movie and it's not one of those things where we have a conversation and we say, oh wow, remember back in the day when that used to happen? It's like, we decided to integrate a lot of that stuff years and years and years ago when I started on this picture in 2011. And so the Ferguson stuff and the Baltimore stuff and all this stuff hadn't happened, and it's unfortunate that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And as Cube put it, this has been going on for like 400 years. It didn't just start. But I applaud him. You look at Marvin Gaye, he made this song, Made Me Wanna Holler. And he had that line where he says, don't punish me with brutality. And he's talking about cops in the 70s. Q was a little less diplomatic with his artistic expression. But I also I also say that I'm optimistic because the fact that what's going on is in the headlines a lot nowadays, in the camera phones and the body cams and the dash cams, and I think a lot of pressure is being put on our political leaders and our leaders in law enforcement. I think change is coming.
Are you optimistic, Cube? Do you agree with Gary Gray?
A little bit. I am, not a lot, but a little bit. I know the authorities like to hold on to their power, and they're taught to win any situation they get into. So, to win, somebody has to lose. But the body cams, the cell phones, people being vigilant, filming these things, are starting to bring a public shame that is starting to provoke change. Nobody wants to be up on CNN, shooting a kid in the back, I hope. So, hopefully these things are deterrents. But, things happen fast on the streets. And we're not trying to discourage the good cops that's out there in the world. We need them. What we want them to do is to point out the bad seeds, get them off the force, and let's, as far as the police, get your dignity back. You know what I mean? Get your respect from the community back by doing the right thing and, not abusing people just because you can. So, we got a lot of work to do as citizens to put pressure on these authorities to do the right thing by the people. And we keep doing that, and we'll get the change we're looking for.
Let me switch gears a little bit. Bring in O'Shea Jackson Jr. Tell me about. Great job. Congratulations.
I'm really overrated.
Tell me about the first conversation you had with either of these guys about that led to you playing your dad. When did that? Who brought it up first? And tell us about that conversation.
By far him.
Really?
I was having a regular O'Shea day, and he comes down and he tells me that they're starting to take the N.W.A movie seriously. We didn't even know it was Straight Outta Compton yet. It's the N.W.A movie, and I need you to play me. And that's a big fish. It's universal. It's I never acted before, never been on screen.
Phenomenal,
before.
right, guys? First role.
But the director knew that. So from there, Gary gave me the tools that I needed to get as much experience as I could in a short amount of time. He connected me to Aaron Spicer, who's Will Smith's acting coach, Gerard Butler, The Rock, Beast. And then there's Susan Batson, who's actually out here in New York, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. And those two, I owe them everything. If you have the work in front of you and you just put it to your mind, you can have something like this.
But you got to back up for 2 seconds.
No, I'm gonna back up
Back
for 3
up.
seconds.
Back up.
Hold on.
Back up.
When I first told this idea to Gary, he looked at me and said, "Man, what kind of movie we trying to make?"
That's true.
I said, "It's not
It's
gonna
true.
be bullshit. He's gonna be right. He's gonna be ready. You know what I mean? Just give him what he need." And but you
But
did
back it up
you
even
did,
more, though.
You did raise that eyebrow on me a little
I
bit.
did. I'm not going to even front. I did. Now, I started my career with Cube. I did Today Was a Good Day, the music video, and my first film was Friday, the very first Friday with Chris Tucker. And so that was the beginning of my career. This is 20 years ago. So, we cool. But when he said, I want my son to play the role, I'm like, we ain't that cool. Not yet. Like, no, we cool, but, it's a process. And that's what the eyebrow raising was. Cube knows that, I kill myself when I get behind the camera. And, what he didn't do was say, you have to use my son. What he says is, what do you think? I think he'd be good. And it was never mandated. And so reason why I say back up is because when he says that he interacted with acting coaches and things like that, it was only during the audition process. It took him 2 years to get this role. He auditioned for 2 years, callbacks, chemistry tests, things like that. And so it was never a shoo-in because, as I explained to everyone who found out that he was in the running, that the novelty of Shay being Cube's son wears off after the first 5 minutes of the movie. And then after that, you have to carry a movie. Now, there are good character actors that can do good parts here and there, but there's a different element inside a performer that allows you or affords you the ability to actually carry an entire movie, and you can't. And nepotism doesn't serve that. And so, when he came to me, I was a little nervous at first, but I said, I will work with you. And in the meantime, I'm going to audition 2,000 other people.
Passing out 2,000 L's. That's all that is.
That's right.
Yeah, but that putting me through the ringer, that's exactly what I needed. I do it again. Straight Outta Compton is something I've never sacrificed so much for film. I lost 15 pounds in like 3 weeks. Just to be able to be snowed in out here in New York during February, to be with an acting coach, I've had the time of my life getting my ass beat, Gary. Thank you.
Well, you worked for it. I mean, and that's kind of the moral of the story. Obviously he knew someone, and
Well,
he knew someone.
ultimately, it comes down to, he was just the best man for the job. When you really break it down, he was just the best guy for the job. I've been producing movies since Friday, which is 1995. So I could have put this dude in a movie a long time ago. But when you write, you write. And I knew we wouldn't find anyone better to do the part. And, just as a producer, I knew that, the kid could do it. And then he just had to bring himself up as an actor and work very hard and do everything this man said. And I wasn't going to interfere with that at all. I was like, yo, you got to deal with Gary now. You got the job. Now you got to deal with the director. And I'm proud of him because he did everything we asked him to do, with a smile on his face.
With a smile, that's right.
And, with a great attitude. So, I'm very proud of my son for stepping up and doing a great job on a project that meant so much to me.
That's yours. That's your water. There's another one over here.
Don't give
I
him
still
mine.
got to take care of it.
That's
No.
yours. That's yours.
Okay.
But just to follow up, O'Shea, that you must have gotten some notes from your dad on the set. I mean, you're playing him. What kind of notes did he give you in the moment?
We would talk every day, just so he could give me ammunition as an actor of what he's thinking about during that time.
It was before he got to the set. The one thing that Cube has always been respectful of, because he's not only a writer, producer, but he's a director himself. So he never came in on a set and directed his son. He gave him a lot of input, and I'll let you describe what the process was. But one thing that I know we have is creative chemistry. We've been doing it since music videos and with Friday and things like that. And so he was always respectful of what it took, but he definitely gave him.
Yeah, once I clock in, I'm all Gary's, but just our phone conversations and discussing scenes before we even got to shoot them. And one thing that I remember him telling me is something that bugged me during the audition process. There are many fans of Ice Cube. Everybody knows Ice Cube's signature, frowning. And so he wanted me to make sure he wasn't frowning in every scene because, somebody could just mean mug for 2.5 hours and feel like they did it. And that's not the man I know. I wanted to show my father's wit. I wanted to show that he's always thinking. I wanted to show how you got to be on your toes around him. You get your jabs in. And, of course, eventually that anger in the office.
Ice Cube?
Hey, it's nothing I can say. He, I definitely told him everything, that I was thinking, what I was thinking of everybody, what I thought of Dre, what I thought of Eazy, what I thought of Ren, so he can have those things, just as ammunition, as things he can always go to. Yeah. If he wanted to throw in an ad lib, I wanted him to know why, where, and how to go about it. But it was really all about just giving him that ammunition. But when he got to the set, you know, I rarely spoke to him about it. You know, it was all about just, you know, he was in good hands, and so I just knew if he did what Gary wanted him to do, that we'd have a great movie. So, you know, I hate them fathers that coach from the sidelines. You know, like you got your kids in sports and you on the sideline saying, no, you know, do what I say, and you know. So I didn't want to be that guy. You know, I wanted to be like, yo, you're in the coach's hands. Don't come over here looking at me, crying to me about nothing. Just do it. And he got down. I'm proud of him.
And he did it. You know, one of the biggest advantages that I had was a relationship with Cube and also with Dre, and those details that they can not only give me but give the actors. You know, that was one of the big benefits of just not having to guess. You know, I'm not relying on Wikipedia. I'm not relying on Google. I'm not, you know, I have, most of the surviving members, they're giving input, and it really helped with the details.
The authenticity, you had the source.
Absolutely.
We're going to go to the audience. One more question for Ice Cube. Did this movie, to what extent did this movie give you a sense of closure, being able to revisit? And you mentioned like you could give him guidance or input on your relationship to Eazy-E at this particular moment or Dre at this particular moment. Was that a sense of closure for you?
I mean, I wouldn't feel like closure. I just feel like it's a great accomplishment, you know, and I know Eric would be proud of this movie, and he's the only one that really couldn't put his stamp on it, but you know, his flavor is all over this movie, and so, you know, we just wanted to show the world what we went through to be who we are, and we felt like this was an American story of brotherhood, of rags to riches, of breakup to makeup, you know, First Amendment rights. You know, it had everything from, you know, gang banging to drug dealing to police brutality to HIV and AIDS. So we just knew we had an American story here that needed to be told.
O'Shea, do you look at what your dad accomplished or achieved at this point in his life differently now because of this movie, or how do you look at it differently? Because you saw and have heard about, I'm sure, his life from the inside. But now, not only to play this role, but to be able to look at this whole time period, what kind of perspective did it give you that was different from what you had heard?
Well, my whole goal with this film is for people to appreciate my father at least somewhat close to how I do. You know, it was such an importance to me to get this story out there and for it to be me to cement it. The one thing I took from the film, though, is that confidence in himself, you know, and his intelligence and his integrity were displayed at, 17. You know, he's been that guy that I've known forever. And I love that I'm able to be a part of this film and to share with the world the man I know.
Great. Let's take some questions from the audience. There's a microphone, so let's go right here to the third row on the side. Wait for the mic, and then...
How you doing, guys? Great job. It was my second time seeing it. Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question is for Ice Cube. I was just wondering if you could expand a little on how close N.W.A. was to a reunion or to getting back together, and if there's more to the story than we saw in the film in that respect.
Well, you know, we talked about it, and you know, just like in the movie, I told him that he had a lot of work to do with Dre because him and Dre was really at it at the time. So he said that, you know, he was gonna talk to Dre, and so I was looking for a phone call of, yo, Dre's down. Let's talk about. Let's have a meeting. Let's show up at the studio. Let's start seeing what we can put together. So, but the next call I ended up getting was that he was sick and he was in the hospital. So it just it really stopped everything in its tracks. And you know, so I think that's more of a question for Dre. He would have been the one producing the music, so you know, as close as he was is as close as we were to doing it.
One here with red. Yes.
Hi, it's my third time seeing the movie. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got a lot of money for me. This question's for Ice Cube. As a writer for both music and film, did you ever struggle with doubting yourself or disciplining yourself? And if you did, how did you overcome that? And if you didn't, what advice would you give someone who does that? I mean, who is struggling with that?
Well, you know, of course, you know, I'm human like everybody else, so doubt definitely, you know, tries to creep in, but you got to shut the door on it. And as a writer, you really have to allow yourself the time to rejuvenate. You know, sometimes you want to sit down and write it all at the same time, but sometimes you need days off. You need weeks off before you go back at it, and you go back at it with a fresh attitude, a fresh feeling. So, you know, never be discouraged by what they call writer's block, because it's not. It's just you retooling and you know, kind of, you know, refueling your skills to be able to continue on writing. So, you know, I used to get nervous, you know, when I get writer's block, because I'm like, man, I'm working on a record. I need to finish this, you know. But then I just started to let it flow and let things happen as they naturally would, and you know, everything comes out better. So that's how I push away doubt. You know, sometimes I push the project back, take a step back, a couple of days off, and then go back at it.
I went to USC for screenwriting. That was what I did before I got into acting. And with writer's block is something that we all dealt with. You know, you hear just quiet on the dorm floor because everybody's trying to think. And some of the things that would help us is the people around you sometimes can bring a type of creative energy, and your brain is a muscle. If you overuse it, you know, you'll burn yourself out. So it's just about finding a place of peace, you know, without any clutter, where you just relax and in a creative mindset.
Yes, all the way back there.
Hi, couple things. I just wanted to say, as a hip hop head, old school, the movie was amazing. It did hip hop justice. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for that. And I also want to say, also to Ice Cube, I want to say America's Most Wanted is one of my favorite albums ever in life.
Classic.
Amazing. I still know all the words to every song. So really my question is for actually Mr. O'Shea Jackson Jr. I'd like to know, what is your favorite album of your father's?
Oh. All right. This is like broken into pieces. When I was younger, it was the War and Peace album, the War edition. I was all over that. But as I got older and you know, I started to grow into my own, there's Death Certificate. Like, Death Certificate is that one, or Laugh Now, Cry Later is another one, you know, and of course that Ice Cube's greatest hits. But you know, it's I would have to pick Death Certificate for sure.
Yo.
There and then up here. Yes.
What's up? First off, F. Gary Gray, my homie Trey wanted me to tell you that he loves Set It Off. And I'm gonna second that. Set It Off is super underrated.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that.
For sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
This question is actually for all three of y'all. First off, I'm gonna second what homegirl up there said. Like, as a hip hop head, like seeing DOC prominently, seeing like all the little stuff, like it made me really like be like, oh, they care. F. Gary Gray, like he really cares. Like Ice Cube really cares. I mean, of course you care, but like for real. So my question is for all three of y'all. What's one hip hop biopic that you would like to see made, and not even have a part in it in the creation process, but as a fan that you'd love to watch?
There we got Wu-Tang in the house. Man, I would love to see Tupac. I mean, I would love to see the start of Sugar Hill Records. You know, I think that's, you know, the story that needs to be told is the start of Sugar Hill Records and Sylvia Robinson, and You know, that's the story that needs to be told, because that is the actual beginning of, you know, taking it from the streets and making it a part of entertainment. So, you know, that's a big story. Run DMC, you know, I mean, Crush Groove was cool, but damn, I want to see, you know what I mean, a dramatic look at it. So Public Enemy, I can go on and on. You know, I love a lot of old school hip hop.
He mentioned a lot that, you know, a lot of groups that I like a lot as well, but, you know, they don't focus a lot on the South, and with all this drama going on with Lil Wayne, I actually wouldn't mind seeing what's behind all this stuff that's going on with those guys down there. It's been going on for maybe 20 years or so as well, so it'd be interesting to see something a little different, because we, you know, obviously we got the West Coast, we have the East Coast, but I wouldn't mind seeing something from the South.
2 Live Crew. I want to see the 2 Live Crew movie.
Pornhub.
Hey, they went through a lot of legal trouble. It could be a dramatic movie, Gary. 2 Live Crew, Wu-Tang.
Okay, we don't have a lot more time, but there's a guy here, and then there's a woman with her hand up back there. So we'll go here first, and then back.
Okay, this question is for O'Shea Jackson and Ice Cube, too. First of all, let me just shout you out. Pinnacle ones are amazing, and like that babe, too. Well, I just wanted to ask, where do you get your sense of style from, and what is your favorite brand?
These are good questions.
Levi's and Dickies for me, man. You know, I keep it simple.
Yeah, I just be comfortable. You know, I don't like nothing too tight. You know, I'm a sneakerhead for sure. I got the Pinnacles on, if you don't know what these is. And I would have to do with, you know, it's my favorite brand got to be like Louis Vuitton, or like, you know, like Gucci or something. But, or Bathing Ape. Bathing Ape has always been something I've always stuck with. Some of the simpler stuff, nothing too cartoony. And yeah, you'll see me in it. Like that answer?
Back there, yes.
Hi, my name is Nia. This question is for Ice Cube. I hope you don't shut me down like you did the journalist in the movie, because I'm also a journalist. But
what's your name, man? Where you going?
Thank you. I think, to the director's credit, the movie did a really good job of depicting the thick line between black and white that was felt in Compton and other urban communities around the country. So I wanted to know, decades later, how does your view with regards not to just Jewish people, but white people in general, how has your view of them and their relationship with black people in this country evolved since you started N.W.A?
Well, you know, it's a thing where I realized that every race and nationality has crazy people in it. So, you know, so, you know, in that respects, we all the same. You know, there's some systematic things that probably need to change, but, you know, really, we all the same. And the sooner we'll realize that, the better off we'll be. That we all want the same things. We all want, you know, cherish the same, mostly the same values when it comes to family and home and life, and, you know, so people are the same, you know, and it's these, you know, differences that the world has pointed out with us that we latch on to, run with, and fight each other over. And they're really all in our head. You know, all these lines and barriers and things are really deep rooted in our head. And we should get over it and work together and, you know, enjoy each other instead of worrying about trying to be the same. Who the hell wants to all be the same? Nobody wants that. You know, so our differences is what makes this world great, and that's what we need to focus on.
And that was one of the main reasons why I did the movie, is because, you know, on the surface, people could just kind of focus on the music and focus on the controversy and the genre of music with gangster rap and things like that. But when you see an artist evolve, and you see, you know, the humanity behind the rappers and the music and the albums and the icons, they're human beings that evolved, and over the course of 25, 30 years or so, you see them kind of grow up And what I wanted to make sure, and what we all wanted to make sure, is people were inspired. And so it's an inspiration to see these guys come out of South Central. It was very, very dangerous. Compton, very dangerous, very negative in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, and evolve and do something positive. This man's been married for over 20-something years. He's got a great family. Dre's been married for 20 years. He's got a great family. And so, you know, to focus on what they were doing and saying when they were teenagers versus how they evolved as human beings and great examples, I love seeing that, and I love showing that. And to, you know, even hear the answer about, listen, we all the same, you know, you can learn from that, you know, and that was part of the point of the movie.
So unfortunately, we're out of time, so we're going to do this. We have to let these guys get on their way, so we're going to give them a big applause and then let them get, so stay in your seats for me. Give them a big applause and let them get backstage. Thank you guys so much for doing this tonight.
Thank you for coming out, spending the night with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.